You shouldn't need a second mortgage to have a stunning aquarium. We all want that high-end nature tank look, but most of us are working with a loose change found in the couch budget. If you want fish that look great without breaking the bank, subscribe so I can feed my baby, because today we're ranking the cheapest fish in the hobby to find out which ones are a steal and which ones are just a scam. The common goldfish. We start at the bottom with the single most sold vertebrate on the planet. You can buy a common goldfish for like 25 cents. That price is a promise that this is a disposable starter pet, but biology disagrees. The common goldfish is a carp that lacks a true stomach. It is evolutionarily designed to graze constantly, meaning it is an open tube converting protein into ammonia 24 hours a day. When you put this 25-cent fish into a 10-gallon tank, you aren't building an aquarium, you are building a nitrogen bomb. To dilute the waste of one adult to safe levels, you need 75 gallons of water. But nobody buys a 75-gallon tank for a carnival prize, so it suffocates in its own waste. And you think you're bad at fish, you're not. You just bought a high-performance waste factory priced like a keychain. The common goldfish is going straight to F tier because its price tag actively encourages the worst possible care standards, turning a river monster into a disposable carnival prize. The Rosy Red Minnow. Next to the frantic cloud of pale orange next door, it's the Rosy Red Minnow. They cost 20 cents and are labeled hardy. They're hardy though in the same way a cockroach is hardy, but they exist for one reason: to be eaten. These are fathead minnows bred in overcrowded vats to be swallowed by turtles. They're not selected for longevity, they're selected for volume. When you buy one as a pet, you're buying a nervous wreck that vibrates with anxiety, waiting for a predator that isn't there. You save money on the purchase, but you're importing a cocktail of internal parasites that will nuke your tank. Hardy does not mean rewarding, it just means they die slowly. The Rosy Red Minnow escapes F tier because it won't outgrow a standard tank, but it stays in D tier because it is a feeder fish that brings industrial farm diseases into your display aquarium. The Black Skirt Tetra. Moving up to the $3 range, we find the Black Skirt Tetra. They look cool, little black geometric shapes that seem rigid and tough, and yes, they are tough. You could probably cycle a tank with ammonia and bleach, and the black skirts would still be begging for flakes, but their biology is designed to ruin community tanks. Black skirts are fin nippers. In the wild, this aggression is dispersed among hundreds of fish. In your tank though, where you only bought 4 because you're on a budget, that aggression focuses. They target slow movers, they shred angelfish, they harass guppies. The irony is that they are so indestructible that you will likely be stuck with them for 6 years. You will end up resenting their immortality, watching them bully your nicer fish, waiting for them to pass away so you can buy something that's not a jerk. The Black Skirt Tetra lands in C tier because while it has S tier survival stats, it has F tier social skills, making it a liability for any peaceful community tank. Female Bettas. Now you can find these for as cheap as $5 to $7, and the industry marks them as the safe alternative to males, or worse, as candidates for a sorority. The word sorority implies sisterhood and pillow fights, but biologically it's more like a prison riot in a sparkly outfit. A female betta is still a betta. She is a carnivorous, territorial predator. Her aggression is just less theatrical. She might not flare her gills, but she is often a relentless fin nipper and a food hog who will eat until she explodes just despite the snails. The sorority tank is a time bomb. It works for 6 months until the dominance hierarchy shifts overnight and you wake up to shredded fins. Now they can work, but they're only for really experienced keepers. Even when kept alone, it's a coin toss. Some are sweet and some are hunters who hunt Neon Tetras for sport. The female betta is stuck in C tier because reliable tanks cannot be built on coin flips, and this fish is a territorial predator marketed as a community safe bet. The Zebra Danio. Back in the around $2 bin, we find the Zebra Danio. These fish are biologically invincible. They tolerate temperature swings and pH crashes that would hurt anything else. If we were ranking purely on survival, they would be S tier. But we're ranking on the living with them scale. Zebra Danios have a metabolic rate that operates on a different time scale than the rest of the universe. They never stop moving. If you have a tank of calm, peaceful plants, introducing a school of Danios is like releasing a bag of squirrels into a library. They outcompete everything for food. Before your bottom feeders even smell the flakes, the Danios have eaten everything and are looking for more. They're the roommates who blend smoothies at 4 a.m. every single day. They create a visual noise that ruins the serenity of a peaceful planted tank. The zebra Danio lands in B tier because while they are biologically indestructible, their chaotic energy prevents them from ever being a true centerpiece. The Glowlight Tetra. Now this fish usually costs about $3 and they are the sleeper hit of the discount bin. Most people walk right past them because under bright store lights they look kinda terrible, washed out, gray, and transparent. They look like a receipt that went through the washing machine, but get them home under dim light and that orange stripe glows like a filament. The reason they rank higher than the Danios is a specific value proposition. They are boring, and in a glass box in your living room, boring can be a feature. They school loosely, they don't nip, and they don't race around like they're on caffeine. They are the beige wallpaper of the aquarium world. They are dependable accountants of the Tetra family. They show up, do their job, and go home. Sometimes that's exactly what you want to balance out a tank. The Glowlight Tetra is B tier because it is biologically solid but visually kind of forgettable, doing the bare minimum required to not be a mistake. The Black Neon Tetra. For around $4, you can get a Black Neon Tetra. This fish suffers from a branding problem. It sounds like the goth version of the regular Neon Tetra, but biologically they are tanks. The regular Neon Tetra is a genetic disaster. It's inbred, prone to disease, and held together by blue dye and hope. The Black Neon is robust, grows larger, and occupies the upper water column with confidence. They're the fish you buy when you are tired of replacing regular neons every 3 months. They lack the bright red stripe that sells millions of fish, but they pay you back in longevity. You buy a school of these for $4 a piece, and you will likely still have that same school 3 years later. They're the adults in the room. They don't need to be the center of attention, but they frame the tank perfectly without causing any drama. The Black Neon Tetra climbs to A tier because it fixes the genetic fragility of the standard neon while offering S tier longevity with solid A tier aesthetics. The Cherry Barb. Now most barbs are terrible people. The Tiger Barb, for example, is just a piranha that knows how to market itself, but the Cherry Barb, sitting at around $4, is the exception that proves the rule. This is one of the best cheap fish in the hobby because it gives you complex behavior without the assault charges. Males are bright red, females are copper. It's like a wedding where the groom wears neon and the bride wears beige, and somehow it works. You get to watch mating rivalry where the males spar and flare, but it's performance art, not a cage match. It's a dance-off and nobody dies. They're hardy, they eat anything, and they clean up lost food without digging up plants. They scale well with experience. A beginner can keep them alive in a bucket, but an expert can condition them to breed. They're the working class heroes of the planet aquarium. They show up, do the job, and they look fabulous doing it. The Cherry Barb belongs in A tier because it offers the behavioral complexity of a cichlid in a $5 package, missing S tier only because it lacks unified schooling behavior. The Harlequin Rasbora. It's usually priced around $5, and this fish is iconic for a reason. There is a geometry to this fish, the black pork chop shape on the side that makes a group of them look like a single organism when they move. Most schooling fish in the hobby don't actually school. They just loiter in the same zip code like teenagers at a mall food court. Harlequins actually school. If you put 12 in a tank, they face the same direction and turn together. They have a hive mind, but instead of trying to assimilate the galaxy, they just want to look pretty near some driftwood. They provide that National Geographic visual you were imagining when you bought the tank instead of the chaotic mess you usually get. They are peaceful yet confident. They don't nip, they don't hide, and they are resistant to common diseases. They interact with the water flow and light in a way that makes your tank look bigger than it actually is. It's the optical illusion of competence. The Harlequin Rasbora takes the S tier spot because it's the only fish on this list that actually delivers the tight schooling behavior that the others only promise. And finally, the fish that redefines what cheap can mean, the Medaka or Japanese rice fish. You can find these for about $6, sometimes less, which is approximately the price of a streaming service you forgot to cancel. In Japan, these are more popular than goldfish because they are adapted to everything. They can survive under a sheet of ice in a pond. They can survive in a tropical tank at 80 degrees. They treat the laws of thermodynamics as a suggestion rather than a rule. You could probably keep them in a damp paper towel if you ask them nicely, but the real magic is their social stability. They are relentlessly peaceful, occupying the surface and begging for food with bright blue eyes. Unlike the Rosy Red Minnow, which looks at you with fear, the Medaka looks at you with entitlement, like it's waiting for a tax refund. They prove you don't need a heater or complex gear to enjoy the hobby. You just need a fish that isn't actively trying to die. The Medaka is S tier because it breaks the rules of the hobby, requiring zero technology to thrive while being more personable than fish 10 times the price. Cheap fish are not always beginner fish. The animals in F tier, the goldfish, the feeders are actually some of the most demanding creatures you can own if you want to keep them ethically. The industry sells them cheap because they treat them as ammunition, not pets. The S tier fish aren't expensive, but they are valuable. They're valuable because their biology actually works inside of a glass box. If you want to keep learning, check out the video on screen. I'm Art Gills, and I'll see you in the next one.